Hello everyone. Welcome to Digital Marketing Can podcast, your one-stop destination to explore the latest happenings, strategies, tools, techniques, and case studies in the digital marketing domain. I'm your host Prince Kumar, and we have Paul Stern, the owner of Digital Awol Limited and Chief Experience Officer of lemonangels.com with us today. With over 20 years in digital marketing from both execution point of view, whether it might be the selling dog clothes online or agency work, he has not only understand what works but also where to spend your time, both to measure and what really works in paid ads, SEO, and other digital marketing stuff. Hi Paul, a warm welcome on our show.
Hi, Prince. Hey, thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
Great. And we are excited to have you and understand about the different types of performance marketing campaigns.
Yeah, so I'll start off a little bit about my background and how I sort of got started in this, because it's a little bit different uh, uh, than most people. So I've done a lot of years in agencies, but if I step back where I started, I started selling dog clothing online, uh, built everything from scratch in the SEO market, but also once I moved from the SEO market and onwards, I moved into the paid advertising, into the performance marketing, all the things that go with it, because I was, SEO is one element, and ranking in Google is wonderful, but it's only one part of a wheel, right? And you want all the spokes in the wheel. So several times a paid campaign, specifically a Google Ads campaign, can confirm actual keywords that convert, and that's so. Let's work backwards. If I had a scenario where someone was marketing a website and they didn't know what to do, I would say they would go down the path. Let's say, for example, their goal is to create leads. Most businesses want leads. Say, for example, you're a builder or you're something like that. You want leads coming in. So a paid campaign, particularly with Google Ads, is pretty fast. It's also it can be very inefficient. So let me explain that for a second. When you go and get a website made, you're coming from a designer point of view. The designer normally designs a website. Now, designers come from the print market. So they're wonderful at creating these fantastic, flashy looking websites, but they don't necessarily know how to make it perform. Which what happens is you spend money on advertising, sending it to a brand website, and with your goal being leads, and it doesn't convert to leads. Seen that happen quite a lot. Get a lot of phone calls and questions. I've spent XYZ on Google Ads and I don't know what I've got from it. So that's the warning bell. Simple fact is, this is probably the approach that I go at a lot, is if you're going to use Google Ads, here's two things you need to know. Your offer needs to be something that is more impressive and will stand out than the example of a builder. If you just give me an example of a builder, you're going to go to the site, they're going to look at the pictures and go, that's nice, and then they leave, and that's it. There's nothing to make them stay. And even worse, if you've got prices up there, then they'll price comparison and just leave anyway. So I had a builder a while back, and what he was doing is, if you start a project, he was doing what's the best example? Decks, a builder's deck. And I said to him, you need to stand out with a point of view. He says, and he gave me some of the numbers that were around how much a deck was worth and all these type of things. So I says, why don't you add in there, projects started in this month because they were about a $5,000 for a deck. Also go into a draw to win dinner for two at a local restaurant, and a big name restaurant. So there's your point of difference. So you start with a point of difference. I see people actually even today trying to sell drop shipping products, and there's no point of difference. And that takes a real challenge to convert anything. So the fast thing about performance with Google Ads, step one, I would prefer to use landing pages. There's a lot of landing page platforms out there that work really well. I've worked with one called Landingi, and that creates allows you to create landing pages that look like your website and look as good as, but then you can test everything that works. So that's step one, is use a landing page creator and make it easy for them to see what's going on and contact you. So on top of that, a lot of people don't do this either, and they do it wrong, is you need to have a phone number. You need to have the phone number, and it's really strange. I was looking at this client's site, and to get to the phone number on the site, you had to click through 2 different stages to get there. It's like, why are we making people work hard? Put the phone number at the top of the site. But then the phone number is only one stage. Most phone tracking systems that are around now allows you to track down to the number that's been called. So let's say, for example, the builder's model, you're advertising on black decks, for example, because it's easy to understand, and you're tracking everything, and you get phone numbers, phone calls, and the phone call tells you what that keyword was that person put in that generated that lead. And so you start with a big bucket of keywords that you think it is, because you're tracking the forms that are submitted, you're tracking the phone numbers that are submitted, that are called, and you link it down to the ones that generated the actual phone calls that turned into leads. And then all of a sudden, you're smarter than every other person in that market, because you might start off with this wide bucket of keywords and then only end up with 3. And then you can focus hard on those 3 keywords, the ones that generated real leads, ones that actually generated quality leads as well. Particular systems, What Converts has a phone number tracking system. It's not very well known, but it actually allows you to get the phone numbers in, get the calls in, and then you can actually, once they come in, you can choose on what level of quality they are, so that you have a quality level of the lead that comes in. That's the main thing. I'm a big advocate of particular tracking and being able to track everything that's going on. With paid advertising, most of the time, Google's on one side, Facebook's on the other. I always prefer to have a third-party tracking system. It's not quite. Facebook is the worst of them, but Google's okay for tracking. But the simple fact is I want to get it down. Each of the platforms will favor their own end, their own area, and they will say it performs in the area. I don't want to have the fox guarding the chickens, right? They want us to spend more money. I don't want them to be doing the counting. I want to be able to do the counting from someone else. It's one I'm testing at the moment called Adline, and another one is called Improvely, and that gives you a third-party checker, which gives you a view of the truth. It's not that I don't trust these platforms, but their goal is to sell you more advertising. Even if you get on a call with Google reps, Facebook reps, their goal is to sell you more advertising. And very often within Google campaigns specifically, they say, you're not spending enough in your budget. You're not spending enough in your budget. So they're going to keep asking for that. If you're the wise one who's trying to compete with the others, then you know which keywords are working. You're going to have to start with that wide bucket and then bring it in to the ones that are working. But if you're using landing page and phone tracking software, you're the one who can spend more on the advertising, because it might take 2 to 3 months to get it right. But once you've got it right, the ones that work, then you can spend more on them because you already know they're proven. But most of the businesses that come to me, they are not even halfway there. They've run advertising. They've struggled with Google Ads. They thought they could turn it on a Monday and it'd be working, and I'd be getting hundreds of leads by Friday. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did. But it's a matter of being the smarter person in there, and that means also being patient. I remember doing some work for a plumber, actually, strange enough, and it took us 3 months to get the keywords fantastically rocking. And then he was an advocate of the business. Basically, he's saying, look, I've got more leads coming in the door than I need. Can you slow some down? It's like, okay, that's a good problem to have, isn't it? Also, while I remember, another plumber, smaller business, and here's where some people shoot themselves in the foot. So he had was using. He had a pretty good site on the whole. I took over the AdWords and someone else, so I left it running as it was. He was pretty happy. But then he decided that instead of having the free calling number on the homepage, he changed it to his mobile number only. And I'm going, now you look like a single man company. You look like a tiny business, just what you've done. And then the leads weren't converting as well. So some businesses, sometimes they really shoot themselves in the foot by cutting a few corners in that area. And the Google Ads was working for them really well, and they'd taken on new staff, but they sometimes shot themselves in the foot by basically saying, I don't need an 0800 number, but that actually made you look good, which created more phone calls, which actually makes it all work. So that's a lot to take in a very short burst, but it's a lot I see of what you can get out of paid advertising quickly. But you've got to invest that time, and you've got to invest some testing time as well. I worked for an accountant who was an accountant turned agency manager, and he said, testing is going to cost you. Simple as that. And you're going to have to spend money and allow some testing time. One company I worked for was they were a client, and they were a camper van company. Now, I'm in New Zealand. These guys were focused on the UK market specifically. They had two goals. They wanted to get as many leads as possible so that they didn't have the camper vans out with all the other agents. So the agents they needed to bring them back in so that they were filling all the leads. And so we're running. It was a competitive market space around the camper van hire, camper van rent, all those typical keywords, and they were competing head to head with all the bigger companies, right? Hertz, all these other huge companies, and these companies were under 3 million, and so it was really hard. They were getting the leads in, but one of our guys that I was working with says, "Well, why don't we try these different keywords?" And what we tried was it not camper van rental, trailer. So the term trailer, and they said, "Well, that's not what we do." I says, "Well, trailer can mean different things in different countries. Let's test it. Let's test it out." And so we ran this ad campaign, and we quickly worked out that, hey, wait a minute, no one's focusing on this. This is costing, all the leads are costing a lot less. And then I pulled all the data. So a lot of what I've ever done is pulling all the data. So I pulled all the data and looked at, is there enough volume in here? Is there enough? Yes, there is enough volume in these keywords. So instead of focusing down that path on where everyone else was, we shifted it over onto the term trailer rental, and they went from a $3 million company to a $6 million company in about 6 months. And in the end, we were generating leads from it, but they had no campers left to rent out, so they put it on pause. But that was a matter of, okay, let's test these different areas, but let's make sure we've got the tracking and everything in place. And before I remember, we then also took the SEO campaign that we're running as well over onto this term trailer. And I was running the SEO for them as well. And I also looked at what I was doing. It's a little bit off topic, but I looked at where the internal pages were ranking in comparison to the keywords that they were running across their conversion campaigns. And most companies will say, "Oh, we need new pages here." I went, "Hang on a minute. These pages here are almost ranking already. All I need to do is adjust the internal structure within the site, adjust some of the titles and the changes, and it'll bounce up." And that happened as well. So that paid campaign can give you a lot of data very quickly, and you want to focus on the things that convert, not necessarily. And I get this all the time, but the agency or the company owner will come to me, "I want to rank for this keyword." I says, "Why do you want to rank for that keyword?" "Oh, I want to get more leads." "Okay, so why do you want more leads?" I said, "I want more business." "Okay, so what you really want is converted leads in that market." "Well, yeah, okay. So you don't necessarily have to go for those big keywords. You want to go for the ones that are more likely to convert. And I see these from regional terms as well, where people go after area terms and they convert really well. Another case study I had around keywords is I was working with this plumber. It was a networking group with him, and he'd heard me talk on about keyword focusing, about understanding your market and all these different things. And I said, look, you can put up good content within the blog, that'll help, but you really got to know your customer first and what they do. And he said, yeah, I come back to him in a meeting. He says, I took some notice of what you said, and I knew that one of his stoves that we installs, and it was a particular brand, had some serious problems, and we'd fixed a few of them. So I said, oh, okay. So, and he said, then I put up a page on my site around that brand product, around the problems we had with it, and how we fixed them. And he said, every second phone call that rings that has come onto the site and is reading that article converts into business. So some cases, business owners, I have to pull some of their knowledge out of them and get them to, they don't realize sometimes how much knowledge they have there in their industry. And that allows me to start with a keywords that maybe was higher converting than going head into established markets. When you go and Google search of anything e-commerce, you're going to come up against Amazon somewhere. You've got to think around that box. You've got to think around the sides to get better results, because smaller businesses are not going to challenge Amazon. You've got to be smarter and you've got to think smarter. Now, going back to the brand website, that's not to say that you still don't need a quality website. You still got to have a website which is, it looks quality, but also I one thing that people don't underestimate is the power of having reviews and getting those reviews on your website. I was talking to someone the other day, they were going to run some ads, and I said, you could build a whole website. Have you asked your customers, why they bought from you? Have you asked for them for reviews? If they're real busy, have you even written a review for them and saying, hey, is this okay? And get that, and then get approval to put that up. When I was doing my dog clothes, it was a really interesting thing. I got a phone call. I got a message from someone said, because I asked all my customers for pictures of their dogs wearing the clothes, and I put them up on the website and showed those. Here's this customer. Here's the product they bought. Here's the picture of them. And someone said to me, well, I knew you were a real business because those pictures of those dogs were ugly. It's like, okay, it's one thing I didn't consider, that sometimes if you understand your clients the best and ask questions. I started selling a lot of extra large, and I didn't, right when I went in the industry, I didn't really know why. Why am I getting these sales for extra large dog clothes? And they were jackets and those sorts of things. I was trying to sell to the little, the carry dogs, right? The ones that the rich people carry around, carry dogs, the chihuahuas, and sort of thing. But I found out going after the extra large market, there were people trying to look after older dogs. They were trying to keep them healthy so they didn't have vet bills. And that's what I didn't learn until I'd gone into the market. And like many times, business owners don't realize how much information they have about their market, and I've got to sit there and sort of pull it out from them and ask these questions. So look, with any performance marketing, you have to allow a period of time where you're going to lose money. It's the honest truth. I had a call from a previous client last week, and we've just gone through an election. And he said to me, I want to move this stock. And this was before the election. I says, well, look around. Right now, we've got an election going on, right? So people are interested in that. We've got the Rugby World Cup, which is, for a New Zealand economy is massive, and it takes the attention off everything else. So those things are going. I actually said no to him to running anything now. He wanted to run stuff off as a discount, and I says, yeah, not now. wait a little bit longer till the TV ads start advertising Christmas. People get in the buying mode. People will start buying, even if they're buying it for themselves. They are actively buying, and that's when you want to run your stock out and get it clear. They're in a bit of a hurry, and I had to say no 2 or 3 times because I didn't want them to lose money. If they're going to try and run it, I says it doesn't matter if you give a 30, 40, 50% discount. It doesn't matter because these people won't be focused on it. Wait a little bit longer, clear it when people go into buying mode and they're ready to buy for Christmas, and it'll work a lot better. So sometimes you've got to, sometimes I have to push back on clients quite a lot for their own benefit. I'm very brutal on telling people what they need to be doing. I consider myself super honest. If they're going to go after market in the SEO space, forget about it for a year. Like, you're going to need to do the work for a year at least, in just about any market now. It doesn't, and don't expect results for a year either. And that's if you've got someone good. So yeah, sometimes I turn down work because I won't do it unless I can get some good results, and I don't sugarcoat it, Prince. So this is part of me. Take me as I am. I'm over 50. I've got some grey hairs. Having 20 plus years in the industry, I've seen it all. I've seen it all done badly many times, and I've had many people come to me that they've lost money, but if they simply knew what they wanted going in, that was start point one. Work with not a car agency, but a car seller, a car sales guy, fairly big company, and they says, okay, we want to run Google ads, and simple fact is we are not interested in cars so much themselves, but we want people to be financing the cars, and we're happy to pay $50 a lead, $50 a qualified lead. Perfect. I know exactly where to start. I know exactly what you need. I know exactly where you want to go. So we got their first campaign running in several areas, and after quite a bit of tweaking, we got it all sorted out. A lot of keywords dropped out, a lot of things that we weren't going to do anymore. They all pulled out. And they said, oh, great. Can you set up another campaign for another brand? I went, yeah, okay. So I took that one, put it over there. And they said to me, why aren't you focusing on all these other keywords? Yeah. I says, we've already proven the ones that work. I just took the ones that work over there, put it into that one. Why should I waste any more of your money? We found the ones that work. Silence. So that was easy. Never got a reply back on that one. Now, so let's talk about, I'm going to talk a lot about Google Ads on the whole. I think I've had clients compare Google Ads and Facebook ads together. That's a mistake because Google Ads, simply put, there is the intent. The intent is someone is going to Google, they whatever it is, if they want their lawnmower, they're going to look for a lawnmower, right? The intent is there, and that's why there's so many ads in there. Keeping in mind too, there's two sides to Google Ads, or two main sides. There's the display and there is the search. I'm going to deviate a little. If you're setting up a search campaign and you want to set up a brand campaign, never ever measure them together because they are two different. They make reporting look really good. If you're an XYZ brand and you're getting low clicks on that, and then you're getting paid keyword advertising in a different block, and you're mixing them together, you're mixing the data together. They should be done separate. And the same thing with any display campaigns or retargeting should be measured separately so that you can see where things are at. You'll get a lot lower cost per lead through display campaigns, but the quality is not always as great, and it can be quite hard to get them to the next level. So that's something to consider as well. Now, Facebook and any other type, social type networks, they social, particularly Facebook, is really well known for really bad reporting. And I've lost money when campaigns, this is going back a couple of years, where campaigns said they were profitable, but they really weren't. They weren't really measuring accurately. So, like I said, use the third-party measurement. And Facebook's got some amazing stuff for testing. I've used what's called a 4x4 campaign, which is two different graphics, two different layers of text, a short version and a long version, and then you run them against each other. And then you can pretty quickly, within 2 or 3 days, is where is your cost per lead, which is the lowest cost per lead out of those crossover campaigns. And then you take those and allow you to niche down into what age group created the lead. So you've gone from copy, you've got image, and then you've got into the actual age of that lead that came through as well. That is a side that Facebook does do well, allowing you to target better. Google pretends they do that deep targeting. They don't really, but they try. Hang on. Just me.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, I won't be long. Okay, so yeah, I need to wrap it up fairly soon. It's late here. So look, from my experience, paid advertising takes time. It takes testing. It takes real businesses to use it and use it right, and allowing that time. And if you're working with an agency, allow that time for get them to work done. Anything for up to 3 months, especially for Google Ads, allow 3 months. And you must need to know what you want out of it going in. And that's the business owner to know that's what do I want? I want leads. What's a lead worth to me? What's my conversion rate of how many leads convert? All those type of things is what you need going in, and then you can work backwards. If you are, I think Google Ads works really well for high ticket items. I've seen it done really well for container hire and those type of things because you've got a large purchase amount. But that doesn't really work out because all in the same market have the same large purchase amount, so you still got all the same thing. So you still, and I always keep it simple. So here's what I'm saying is, if you can go to your website and work out exactly what is going on instantly and quickly, then you're on the right path. But if you make me click too many times, I'm gone. And that's what people need to remember as well. So look, I've gone into a lot of detail very quickly on a lot of information. I'm an analytics geek. I want to measure everything. I want to make sure everything's working. Even people come to me with opinions, and then I say, okay, we still need to measure this correctly to get it right. So that's that side of it. So the last thing I probably want to cover is what I'm doing as well as this. So Lemon Angels is something I put together a while ago, and it is a social impact business. And simply what it does, it's founded when I did a call with someone in Canada, and they had a 5-year-old child who he was sitting on a swing, and they noticed his face drooped for no particular reason. So they rushed him off to the doctors, and they found out he had an inoperable brain tumor. So he didn't have a lot of chance, didn't have any sort of, they were in Canada, but they actually found a doctor in Mexico he'd had some experience with these type of things. He'd had success with other people, and so they were traveling down to Mexico and they were getting these treatments from him, and it was actually holding the tumor from growing, as I remember. But that was costing the family anything from $25,000 up per trip. And when I met them, they had just sold their house to keep making these trips. And I said to them, look, let's do an interview just like this one. Let's get that interview up and online, and they were after donations for their online GoFundMe campaign. I said, let's share it out. Let's see if we can use social media for sharing it out and get more traction for you. And that was a few years ago, and I really felt like I let myself down, or I let them down, because I didn't raise a lot of money for them. But I knew that this is something that will work. And so I put it on the back burner for a while. But recently, I kept saying to myself I was too busy and I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the money to put into it. But recently I had a business partner that I was working with who he had beaten cancer once. He had created products to sell on Amazon which were supporting his cancer, and then he had prostate cancer, and then prostate cancer came back and took his life. And at the same time, I've got a family member going through chemotherapy as well. And I said to myself, look, I may not have the resources, I may not have everything right or going, but I'm going to get this going and I'm going to keep it going. And so far, we've only just got started and we're just building out our presence. So check out lemonangels.com across TikTok, Instagram. We want to build it into a huge presence, big enough so that I can be doing this, interviewing the families, all around the world, and we can use social media to spread some good and actually make a difference. And the tagline is make a difference, change the world. And if we can help one family, I've set myself a goal of raising $1 million, $10,000 for 100 families. That's my first goal, and it comes from the principle of serving first. And then this is a business, so it's going to be a profitable business, and someone will come along later, like Facebook or these big companies, go, we'd like to be associated with that. Can we buy you? So that's what I'm aiming at, and that's my passion-driven course on that. And I'm doing it in my spare time. Like, I was editing videos at 11 o'clock last night. I was putting out every campaign that I put up as well. I put some advertising spend of my own money behind it, just to drive it forward, to get more results for them and hopefully help them out. So that's what drives me as well. So apart from the, I really do enjoy my digital marketing. I think that it's an amazing concept, but this is legacy stuff. This is what I want to do for the big picture.
So thank you, Paul. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing, valuable advices with our audience.
Thank you very much for having me. And later, it's in early in the morning, so I'm going to head off to bed before I wake anybody else up. All right. Thank you, my friend.